What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Feed Your Why podcast. I'm your host, Kenneth Ryan, and we're going to jump right into it. So, let me explain the whole premise behind the Feed Your Why podcast. It's like this here. What I've learned along my journey is that when you don't have a why, it's easy to get confused. It's easy to waste time. It's easy to become discouraged, complacent. What else is there? Lazy, sedentary. And that's because you don't have a why. You don't have anything that you're looking forward to. You don't have a purpose. So with the Feed Your Why podcast, it's just here to remind you guys that it's all about feeding your why you do what you do. And once you understand why you do it, if you decide that what you're doing is not beneficial to you, you can stop because now you know why you're doing it. Because once you understand why you do something and you can define it in such a way that you understand it, meaning maybe you don't feel like you're good enough, or maybe you feel as if these people know more than you, or you don't feel like you're worthy of the position you hold. From there, you can say, why? Why do I feel these things? From my experience, whatever you ask will be revealed to you. And that's the beauty of why, the question why. So I tend to question a lot of things within myself, of my habits, my patterns, things I do repetitively, just to make sure that it's beneficial to me and that it supports my overall growth and development. So the Feed Your Why podcast is just that. It's kind of like a check that I'm going to ask you these questions, and you're going to have to answer those questions honestly. So today, I'm just going to give you a guideline or a cheat sheet in order to discovering your why or your purpose. And what I like to do is the night before, I write down all the things, or at least think about all the things I want to accomplish the next day. And then I ask myself, why do I want to accomplish these things? And if I don't have a good enough reason for why I want to do it, I'll make sure that I prioritize. So maybe I have 10 things I want to get done the following day. And I will make sure at the very least I get the top three. The three that I can, I have a definite answer to why I want to get it done. And that's what I'll make sure the next day when I wake up, I can look at my list and say, okay, I'm starting with this one. And I'm going to make sure that I get it done. I'm going to feed my why. And feeding my why, my purpose will be revealed. And I'm going to keep going until maybe, a couple of weeks or months down the line, I can do all 10 things I set out to do. But I'm still going to prioritize the most important to the least important. And when you organize like that, it's easier to achieve things. You put it into bite-sized pieces to where it's not overwhelming. You can say, okay, I have these 3 things I must do before 12. Why? This is the reason why. Before I can move on to step 2, I have to get done with step 1. After step 2, I move on to step 3, 4, 5, and so on. And it's going to help you focus your energies in one direction. Now, I have multiple whys, but as long as your whys are all aligned, you're good to go. I have a supreme why, and then I have whys that branch off of that supreme why. And I make sure that I feed the branches. And from feeding the branches, it's going to go into the main why. They all trickle up. You understand? So that's a little analogy. Hopefully it makes sense. It makes sense. It made sense in my mind. So hopefully I'm explaining it to where it makes sense to you also. But that's what I like to do. I set my why the night before for the day, and I categorize it, I prioritize it from the most important to the least important. So when I wake up, I already know what I'm going to do, or at least what I have planned to do. And sometimes things happen, and what you have planned could be curtailed. But at the same time, I'd rather have a plan than not have a plan and wake up the next morning and just, okay, I don't feel like getting up. I don't want to do this. Without having no direction. I refuse to wake up and not take advantage of what the universe, God, or whatever you want to call it, has given me. I do not want to waste any time or any opportunities. So I want my life to be the perfect plan. Plans do change, and that's great too. But at the same time, I don't want to be caught out at sea without a compass. My plan, my why is my compass. Because at the end of the day, someone asks me, why'd you spend so much time in this one area? Why'd you do so much of this? Why you do so much of that? I can say to them, this is why. Versus saying, I don't know. It just made sense to me at the time, so I just did it that way. That's how I was before. I no longer want to be that way. I no longer am that way. So from here on out, the Feed Your Why podcast is going to help me stay in check and also help you guys to really concentrate on why you're doing what you're doing. So if you're doing the same thing repetitively and you asking yourself, like you're not even asking yourself, but you're just putting questions out into the world like, why me? Why does this keep happening to me? Why is that person? That person is not as good as I am at this. Why they keep getting the promotion? Why this person is able to buy this and buy that? And, I give to charities and I do all these things, but why am I not being blessed? The Feed Your Why podcast is going to help you take those questions and go internal and stop so much focusing on the external, because your external is a reflection of your internal. And, I'm not going to get too deep in that right now on this podcast, but in future podcasts, we'll touch more on it because everything is a mindset. Everything is psychological. We deal with a lot of concepts. Every belief is conceptual, meaning it lives in the mind. That's why it's so important for us to put positive images into our mind and speak things into existence and to be things, to see what we're going to do. And that's part of feeding your why. When you can see, hey, I'm down at the bottom of the mountain, but I see myself at the top of the mountain. So I'm going to feed the why that's going to help me put one foot in front of the other to get up that mountain. I don't know how long it's going to take to get up that mountain. I don't know what it's going to take to get up that mountain. But I know at the end of the day, I know why I want up that mountain. And because of that, I can work towards it each and every day to get closer and closer to getting up that mountain. And that's what the Feed Your Why podcast is all about. And I am excited to share this journey with you guys. And I look forward to reading your feedback and getting your feedback and communicating with you guys. And that's going to be it for this one. This is just kind of like a brief description or, quick synopsis of what you can expect from the Feed Your Why podcast. There is no script. There is no notes. It's me and the camera and you on the other end. And I'm also going to be interviewing other people that have varying levels of success to hear their stories and how they plan their days. So that's what, you can expect. I look forward to doing these podcasts. So just stay tuned and we're going to take this ride together. And at the end of the day, we're going to go, we're going to grow, and we're going to feed that why. So stay tuned for the next episode. I'm going to try to do these daily. That is the plan. Try to keep it anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, not too long. Just give it to you in bite-sized pieces so you can take it and internalize it and digest it. And hopefully it helps you along your journey. So stay tuned for the next one. Feed Your Why.